Hello everybody, it's Jess here with Bless Jess. Thank you so much for watching. I had another day free where I was just, well, it's not free, but I'm in the car waiting on the kids and I have a little bit, and so I thought, hey, instead of making you guys wait as long as it did the last time, let's do part 3 of my story time that I've been doing, talking about my health as a young teenager and just how crazy it was and how much of a miracle it is that I'm still here. And you guys have left so much amazing comments on the first 2. It means the world. It just means the world. I will link those 2 videos down below. If you have not seen those, go back and start with part 1 and then watch them in order. Otherwise, they will not make a lick of sense. But I've really appreciated it. And it's a story that is very hard for me to tell. I don't like talking about it, but I know that I went through it for a reason. It is why I am who I am. And it's the reason that I'm just so blessed. I mean, it's one of the reasons. I have lots of reasons I'm blessed, Jess, but it's one of the main reasons is that I went through so many things and it made me who I am. So I believe in sharing that, even though it is hard for me to talk about. It brings back a lot of bad memories, but also really, really good ones and how good God is. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started with part 3. And depending on how this goes, there might be a part 4 because I don't want this to be super long. But anyway, so I left you guys with the fact of I was going to have a procedure called gamma knife to try to remove the AVM in my brain. I cannot stress enough how scared I was. Looking back, a lot of people tell me how brave I was and oh my gosh, you were so strong. I didn't feel that way inside. I honestly just felt numb. Like I felt, David texted me. I just texted him that Krispy Kreme has lemon glazed donuts and I want some. And he's like, really? He doesn't like lemon as much as me, obviously. Anyway, I was so numb. Like you get to the point when you're afraid you're going to die. And I honestly was afraid I was going to die, that I didn't cry. I did cry a little bit, but I didn't you can't live in days and days of crying. I just felt numb. Like I just felt scared and numb and just like, I want this part of my life to be over. I don't want to walk through what I'm about to have to walk through. And you know, the doctor had given us, you know, telling me my hair is going to fall out. It may be permanently, you know, gone forever. And at that point, that was like the least of my worries. I didn't even care when he told me that. So we get the gamma knife scheduled. And if you guys remember from my second part, it's an intense radiation at a specific part where the AVM was. And I would have to go in. They would screw a halo to my actual skull, and that would fit into the machine so that they could be very precise. And I would be completely knocked out the whole time, like general anesthesia. I don't remember anything kind of thing. Thank God, because if I was over 18, I would have had to be awake and just sedated. But because I was only 17, this happened a few days after my 17th birthday, I got to be put under. So we get the call that I wasn't going to have to wait till March. It was actually going to be moved up to December 22nd, which is 4 days after my 17th birthday. And so we prepare for that as much as you can mentally prepare for that. You know, it's a week before Christmas, or a few days before Christmas. We still had plans to go see family for Christmas. They told us the recovery is not too bad, really. And they had also, during this, put me on some anti-seizure meds just because with all the stuff going on in my brain, seizures were a possibility. I never had a seizure, but I was on all these meds, and that's a whole nother story. I'm glazing over a lot of details, but during all this, I was having to go to the doctor all the time and check my levels. Some of the medicines I didn't react well to, so they had to change them around, and it was just a crazy... Like, I felt like my mind wasn't even clear at this point because of all the medicine and just the stress. And school at this point was well, our public school had a program, I guess all of them do, where if you need it, your teachers will come to your house. And I had like one teacher who would bring all my assignments to my house and she would work with me on getting the assignments done. So that was going on, which I did not really like. I don't know who would like their teacher coming over to their house. It was not fun. So anyway, the day came for me to go in, and they told me, you're going to go in, you know, we're going to sedate you, you're going to go to sleep, and then you're going to wake up and it's all going to be over. And this was going to be like 8 or 9 hours, like all day I was going to be asleep, because it's like they had to do actually another arteriogram where they take more pictures, and just make sure nothing had changed. And there was just a lot of things they had to do. It was going to take a long time. I was going to be asleep all day. So obviously I was really nervous. My aunt, who is actually, she's like my big sister. She's only a few years older than me. She was like 15 or 16 when I was born. And she came in to be with us. And so I remember the night, and I think it was just her that came. It might have been my grandmother that came too, but I don't think so. I think it was just her. And so I remember the night before laying, I was like on a blow up mattress in our house, because I guess we gave her our bed. I'm not really sure, but I remember being on a blow up mattress, and just maybe her and her husband came. I don't remember, but basically we gave her my bed, and I was on this blow up mattress, and I just remember laying there being so afraid and not knowing what the future was going to hold. Like, how am I going to get through this procedure tomorrow, and yada, yada, yada. It was just horrible. It was horrible, and I didn't want my mom and dad to know that I was afraid. Of course they did, but it was just a very confusing time. I did not want to cry during this. I feel like my words are all jumbled up. It's hard to remember it in a logical flow. So the day came. We had to be there early in the morning. We got up, and of course I couldn't eat anything after midnight or whatever. And they took us back. We did all the paperwork, and then the nurse came and got me. And she just came and got me and told my mom and dad, we'll come and get you in just a minute. I really wish she would have let my mom go back with me, but we didn't know anything was about to happen. So she was really nice, and she was like, just joking around with me and trying to make me feel calm. And then she told me that they were going to have to put a catheter in me because I was going to be asleep and all that. And all day they needed a catheter, and I just lost it. Like, at that point, I was young. I was 17. I had never, had anybody else down in my private area. And she started to try to do that, and I just freaked out. Like, I would not be still. I was just crying and upset. I'm a person that I need to be prepared. Like, if they had told me this is going to happen, I could have mentally prepared myself, but I was not prepared. So she got another nurse to come in and hold my legs, and they finally got this catheter. It was horrible. It was that was the worst part for me. And then my mom came in after they had already done that, and I was like, she saw me so upset. I think the nurse had told her, she got really upset when we did the catheter. Mom's like, y'all didn't even tell us you were going to do that, and so I just wish they would have. I don't think they meant anything by it. They were just trying to get their job done, but that was really traumatic for me. With my mom not being in there, and it was just this nurse, I didn't know her, and I don't know, it was just a lot. So she came in, and she prayed with me, and my dad came in and prayed with me, and at this point, I'm getting ready to be put under, It really brings back a lot of those feelings when I talk about it. So okay, I've got to get through this. At that point, my youth pastor had gotten there, and so she's like, do you want him to come in and pray with you? And I was like, no. At that point, I was just overwhelmed. So she's like, well, he's praying, and he's out here, and everybody was just praying that everything was going to go okay. And at this point, I was just terrified. I was so afraid I was going to be put to sleep and not wake up. And that is a hard thing to feel when you're 17 or any time. Anyway, okay, I've got to pull this together. So I'm crying, and, I calmed down enough for my mom and dad to leave, and, everybody was saying, you're going to be fine, it's okay. And so my doctor comes in, the neurologist, the one who is going to oversee this whole thing. And everybody had warned us kind of about him, he doesn't have a great bedside manner, and he's a neurosurgeon, so he has a different personality. And You know, but he had been nothing but nice to me and really supportive about this whole Gamma Knife thing. And he was the one that we were referred to handle my case and everything. And he came in and he saw how upset I was. And they told me, you know, we're going to put this medicine in your IV. Like, the IV was nothing after the catheter. I'll just say that. I'd had lots of IVs before. So they got the IV in and they're like, we're going to put this medicine in your IV. You're going to go to sleep. And I was just so afraid. I was just crying. I remember just tears just pouring down my face. I was so afraid. And the doctor, the neurosurgeon, started singing Christmas songs to me. I don't even remember what it was. I think it was like, we wish you a Merry Christmas or something. And it totally just put me at ease, and they were all laughing, saying, oh my gosh, he's gonna sing to you, this never happens. And he was singing, and they gave me the medicine, and that's all I remember for the rest of the day. The next thing I know is I'm waking up in recovery, and I have a terrible headache. And I feel so nauseous. Like, the worst nausea I've ever had in my life. I'm sure it was from the anesthesia. And they're talking to me saying, it's okay, everything went okay, you're awake now, just, you know, stay calm, you know, all that stuff they say. And at one point I threw up after, like, feeling so nauseous. I threw up. And basically they had taken out the halo. Remember, that is the screws that go into your skull. And then when they remove that, they have to put some glue, like, I don't know what's going on. Okay. My phone's going off. They have to put, like, some glue, like I guess what you get when you get your finger cut open or something, but maybe stronger. I don't know, like super glue, to just kind of close those little screw holes up. And so what had happened was, you guys, I have this long, thick hair, and I've always had a really thick hair. So when I went in they wanted my hair in a low ponytail. So when I went in for the procedure, it was like this. And so when I laid down, it was like a puffy ball of hair. And what had happened was some of the screw holes had started leaking or bleeding, and my hair had gotten soaked with blood before they realized that I was bleeding. And so they got that all under control, but my hair was soaked. It was like a sponge of blood. So that was no fun to deal with, and that's probably why I felt like my head was hurting so bad. I don't know, but probably just everything. So anyway, they tell us I could go home. They weren't sure. I feel like this is all over the place. I am so sorry. They weren't sure if I was going to have to spend the night before we went in for this whole thing. They said you might have to spend one night, but you may just get to go home, because there's really not much they can do. As long as those holes aren't bleeding or anything, and I'm not having any symptoms, there's not much they can do. It's like a waiting game with this thing. Remember, it was going to take 3 years before we even knew if it worked. So there wasn't much point in me being in the hospital. But they came in and they said, yes, you can go home. I think I had to wait for a little while just to make sure that I wasn't bleeding anymore or anything like that. And they said you can go home, but you can't get a shower. You can't scrub your hair. I guess they were worried about the things bleeding for like a day or two. Y'all, my hair was matted and soaked, sopping in blood. And so we're like, okay, like, that's gonna feel gross. And so we drove home. I don't really remember much of the day. The anesthesia, I was in and out of sleeping and stuff, but I remember just being so relieved that I had made it through. And that night, like, we had flowers sent from our church, and everybody was just so excited that it was over. I mean, that part of it was over. I felt like the worst part was over, and now we just had to wait and see if this worked. And we ended up going on with our holiday plans, and I had a lot of anxiety about I had a lot of anxiety about something starting to bleed or some kind of side effect, or, you know, because they said, you know, you can have seizures. I was very anxious about it, but we went on with our holiday plans. We always take a week. We always took a week in the winter and right after Christmas and went to the mountains, and we did that. They said, you know, as long as you're close to a hospital, you know, they didn't expect anything, any complications or anything. So we did that, and that is kind of where the anxiety started building with me. Just I felt like I had a ticking time bomb in my head, and I truly did. I mean, at any moment if that thing had ruptured, I could have died. Like, it was very serious. And so the anxiety level of, I mean, I had several panic attacks of like, oh my God, my head is feeling weird. My head is feeling weird. Something's happening. And I would work myself up to thinking like it's exploding in my brain. And at some point in this whole process, they put me on antidepressants, maybe before we even had this. And it did help a little bit. I was so anxious, as you can imagine how anxious I was. So I'm going to finish it with the next part, and then we're going to definitely have to do a part 4, because this story is not anywhere close to being over. Okay, so I actually go back to school after the first part of the year. You know, we get back from Christmas and everything. I'm doing good. Oh, I forgot to mention this. Then you guys remember the bloody hair? I was so miserable that night. I was so miserable with that blood caked on my hair. At one point, and my mom's like, you can't wash it. They told us you can't wash it. And my aunt, my big sister's like, we have to do something. This is horrible. This is like, my hair looked like it was bright red. And so she leaned me over the tub and just very gently washed my hair, like didn't scrub it, but just washed out the blood. And I was so grateful for her. The water, I think my mom was like crying because the water looked like there had been a murder. I mean, it was really scary. But she got my hair clean, and I felt so much better. And I know that was hard for everybody involved, but I really did feel a lot better, and I mentally, it really, really helped. So we went on with Christmas. We went on with school starting back, and I don't remember how far into it the semester it was, if it was a few weeks or a couple months. I don't really remember. I don't think it was long, though. They told me my hair could fall out, but honestly, I kind of just forgot about that. It was like, I thought, okay, well, my hair could fall out. Who cares? Like, I'm not going to be, you know, I'm not going to be dead if my hair falls out. Like, that's what I was most concerned about. But so I didn't expect the hair falling out thing to really upset me, honestly. Well, one day I'm getting ready for school, and I noticed on my pillow there was a good bunch of hair. And honestly, it didn't even click in my mind, because I shed all the time because I have so much hair. And so I was like, you know, I didn't even think about it. I get to school, I'm going throughout my day, and I play with my hair a lot. You guys, I get comments like, oh, you play with your hair too much, but I just do. It's like a habit, and I'll do this all the time. Well, I was kind of doing that, and as I would do this, there would be a wad of hair in my fingers. It was just falling out. So I didn't have a cell phone at this time. Nobody had cell phones back. Well, they did, but it wasn't real common. So I went and called my mom. I had an amazing guidance counselor at school through all of this, and she was amazing. I mean, I could just go into her office and cry, and she was so supportive, and she would call my mom or do whatever I needed her to do. But at this time, I don't remember if I used her off phone or I found somebody, and I might have just used a payphone. And I called my mom and I said, my hair's falling out. And it was horrible. Like, it was like the proof that I had gone, like, you know, it was the proof that I had gone through this horrible thing. And it was the proof that there was something really wrong with me. And every time I would do this with my hair, just more would come out. And so I was like, I'm going to come get you. Just, you know. And so she comes and gets me, and I'm showing her like how much hair is coming out. And she calls our friend. Gosh, I'm telling you, the hair really got to me. It really, really got to me. She calls our friend who's a hairdresser, and she's a really, really close family friend. And she came over, and you know, they're trying to figure out what we're going to do. And we really needed to find out, like, if it was, because he said it could all fall out, or it could fall out in one place, or it could fall, you know, there was just lots of different things. So she's like, I'm going to have to brush it and just get it, all the loose hair out. And so she brushed and she brushed and she brushed. And every time she brushed, just more hair was coming out. More hair and more hair. And it just made me feel sick. And I thought, am I going to be bald? You know, like, I don't want to be bald. Anyway, and when she got done, there was a spot right where I had my AVM, like right here, like a big spot that was completely bald, like smooth, like a big circle. And then about half of the volume everywhere else was gone. And so I still had hair, but it was definitely not what I was used to. So she did this style where basically she kind of styled it to where everything kind of combed over on that side, when it really did hide it really good. A lot of people never even knew I had that huge bald spot, and she just styled it, and she made me feel so much better because I thought I was going to be bald, and I actually had enough hair. Thank God I have so much hair, because after everything was said and done, I still had a good bit of hair. I just had that really big bald spot. So, that all, and after a few months, it started growing back, which they had told us they didn't know for sure. They thought it would probably grow back, but they weren't sure. And after a few months, I started getting little tiny peach fuzz on that little bald spot, and it kept growing. And now you can't even tell I have tons of hair. You see that? I don't know, losing my hair. And do you guys remember this song by Rascal Flatts? And it's Sarah Beth Skin. The name of it is Skin, and it's about the girl going to prom, and she's had cancer, and she has a bald head, and then her prom date shaves his head or whatever. That song, oh my God, I can't even listen to it. It makes me cry. But she said in that song, it's Sarah Beth is scared to death, and basically when she loses her hair, they say it's the proof she couldn't deny. And that's exactly how I felt. Like, here is an outward proof of what's going on internally in my body, and it just completely freaked me out, and it just broke my heart too, because I'm like, why am I having to go through this? I would love to tell you guys I was so strong through every bit of this, but it was not. I wasn't. If it wasn't for my family, my friends, and God holding me up through this, I was a wreck. Anyway, I am probably going to have to end it here soon, because I am running out of time. But after that, just the anxiety was still really high, because I still felt like anytime that thing could rupture, I had lots of anxiety. Anytime I got a headache, you guys, anytime I got a headache, I freaked out. And, you know, I get migraines. I do. And, like, I still do, and it's gone. It's gone. Spoiler alert. It's gone out of my head. So everybody gets headaches, but anytime I got one, I was terrified that, okay, well, this is the end. And it was just a really hard way to live. I did graduate. Well, let me not go there yet. Around this time, my mom decided to pull me out of public school. It was just too hard. It was too stressful. And she decided to let me finish. I was a senior at this point. Yeah. Well, right around my senior year, I did like a year, I did my junior year in public school, just having teachers come to the house and all that. And then the senior year, she pulled me out, and she just homeschooled me. We had a local homeschool chapter or whatever. And that was awesome, because it was just too much for me emotionally and everything. So after 6 months of Gamma Knife, we have to go back to get an MRI of my brain. They just want to double check that everything's okay, just kind of see how it's doing. But they said, you know, don't get your hopes up. We're not going to know anything for 3 years. You know, we're just kind of doing a little checkup. And we had been praying that God would have just had this thing removed. Like, this thing is just going to be gone. But I wasn't naive to think that it was going to happen that fast. And so we went in for the MRI, and his nurse, the neurologist that we like so much that was saying to me and all that, she came out and she's like, it looks really good. She's like, I can't say that much, but it looks really good. And then he came in and he's like, it's looking good. It's getting smaller. Just go live your life. I'll see you in 2.5 years. So I did. I graduated high school. And I decided to go to college, and I wanted to go away to college. I didn't want to stay. At this point, I think I just wanted a new chapter of my life. You know, I felt like everybody knew me as like the sick girl, the girl, you know, I don't know. I just wanted a new adventure. And so my mom and dad didn't really want me going away to just anywhere, but I had family in Mobile, Alabama. And so they said, why don't you look into going there? And so I did. And, I lived with one of my friends went with me, and we lived with my grandparents, and it was a really awesome, experience getting to have that time. And you guys know my Meemaw passed away this past year, and having those for a few years with her, I stayed with her for 2 years, meant so much to me, and getting to live with them and just spend more time with them and everything. Of course, I was starting school and all that. I decided I wanted to go into nursing school just because of everything I had been through. I just wanted to be able to give back to people. Looking back, I don't know if that was the best idea, but that was my heart, is I wanted to give back to people. I didn't know YouTube was a thing. I'd have gone to YouTube school. So the 3-year test came, and that's where I'm going to stop this and talk about that next, hopefully the last part. But it was when I was a freshman in college, and I had to come back home because it was the big test day. I was going to have to go in. Now I was over 18, so I was going to be awake for the arteriogram, where they run a tube through your groin artery, shoot pictures, or they shoot dye into your brain and take pictures. And this was the make or break. It was either going to be, it's gone, you're done, or, hey, it's not gone. We've got to either do surgery, another gamma knife, whatever, and it's a whole another 3 years. So anxiety is an understatement. I have been through so much, and I breezed through the 3 years because I don't want the story to be so long, but there was so much anxiety, panic attacks. I really leaned on God during those times because my heart was so fearful. Anytime I had a headache, anytime I would get these weird feelings, like, I think maybe it was just the nerves in my head, but I would get like this really weird feeling in my head, and I would think, well, this must be my AVM. It was a really scary time. So the time came, I had to go back home, and I was home for Christmas anyway, and it had been 3 years, and we were going to do the final test and have those results and see what my life was going to be like. I honestly felt like it was like a fork in the road. Am I okay to go live my life, or am I not? Am I going to have to do something all over again? So, my phone keeps going off. I'm going to end that here. I know this video was kind of long, and I'm so sorry that I broke down. Obviously, this is very hard and raw to talk about, but God has been so good to me, and how could I not share this? How could I not share this? And if He would be so good to me, He would be so good to you, no matter what you're going through. So I'm going to end this here. I promise I will do part 4 very soon. I want to get these out for you. I don't want to leave you hanging. So stay tuned for that. That will be coming up soon. But if you like this video and you like these story time videos, give me a big thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. Please subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys all later. Bye. Yesterday